I am tired of you putting on red lipstick and saying you're in your villain era. Hello and welcome to the Villains Verse, where we learn how to feel good being seen as bad. I'm your villain era coach and resident glamour witch. I'm gonna help you go from anxious people pleaser to the ultimate main character this year. But first, let's get into the top 5 problems that I see with people entering their villain era and why it's hindering your transformation. Number 1, you don't actually know what a villain is. Now, before you go pulling up that lousy definition, it's a deliberate scoundrel. You know the one. Let's get into the history of where the word villain actually comes from. The word villain is from 12th century France, and it was used to describe the farmhands that lived on the land or villas that they worked on, which is where we get the villa and villain. The aristocrats that owned these villas believed that villains didn't have a certain social etiquette. So by the time we get to the 15th, 17th centuries, the English language began to associate the word villains with people who were uncultured and possibly dangerous. Literature began to reflect these views in their storytelling, describing anyone who was an outcast in society as a villain or antagonist. By the time we get to the 21st century, villains took a turn from the witch in the woods to the crazy Marvel character that's on a rampage to take over the city. But if you're paying attention, you'll see that the villains in media reflect how society views people who are bad and who we should avoid. So you'll notice that the witch in the woods is not as scary as how we view villains today. The lens that we view villains all depends on our morals, values, and belief system. So somebody that you view a villain could be a hero in my eyes, and vice versa. It's a matter of perspective. The villain is an archetype or an energetic frequency, just like the hero, the queen, or the princess. If somebody has a goal of embodying queen energy, we're not taking it literally, thinking that this person was to rule over the working class. It's an energy that they're trying to embody for whatever goal they have in mind. And just like any other archetype, there's a balance that must be maintained so you don't go off into the deep end. And this works by developing your own moral code and value system, which again could be different for other people. The second problem I see is that you don't want to be perceived as a bad person. Now, the fact that you're even thinking about this proves that you're not trying to intentionally cause harm. But I have to be the one to tell you that just because you don't want to be perceived as a bad person doesn't mean that people will never think that you're bad, and it doesn't mean that you'll never be villainized. Anytime your desires goes against someone else's expectations, you're going to be perceived as bad. And that's why I believe this work is so crucial for artists, creatives, business owners, you name it, because so many of us will never pursue our dreams because we don't want to ruffle anyone's feathers. And I'm here to tell you it's literally impossible. If you want to pursue big dreams that goes against anyone else's limiting beliefs, people will try to stop you and make you feel bad for it. So learning how to feel good being seen as bad is the core message behind my work. Number 3, you're still playing by the rules. There are so many limiting beliefs and rules that we abide by that we don't even realize. And it all stems from social cues. And if you're neurodivergent, that could be a difficulty all on its own. But if you're someone that's struggling with the rules that you've been given, when you enter your villain era, you're gonna have to learn how to break them. It could be the rule or limiting belief of someone like me can't do that. I can't wear that. I can only post content like this. Because I'm a certain gender, I can only wear this, etc., etc. And trust me, I get it. When you're marginalized, a lot of those rules keep us safe, keep us alive, and keep us hidden from harm. So some of those rules you have to abide by depending on where you live, where you're from, or what you're trying to do in life. However, if you feel that these rules are completely hindering your self-esteem, your identity, and you feel boxed in and smothered by everyone else's rules of what you should be, who you can be, it's time to start creating some rules for yourself. Number 4, you are not building an authentic avatar for yourself. Listen, if your villain era is wearing leopard print and wearing red lipstick, I'm not gonna fight you on that. I love a good leopard print too, but boxing yourself into these stereotypical villain era tropes is not gonna serve you if it doesn't feel authentic to you. You don't need to go to the speakeasy in a fur coat, unless that makes you feel like the main character. Your villain era can look like wearing a pink tutu to the grocery store. It could be wearing glitter eyeshadow to the interview, or it could just be dyeing your hair a color that you've always wanted. Whatever identity you want to step into during this transformation, make sure that you're not trying to look like a main character to other people, because at the end of the day, you want to feel like a main character for yourself. And this is your story, so you're allowed to decide what that looks like. Number 5, you're expecting drastic shifts in little time. Now, I know it's called the villain era, and some of us are drawn to this concept for a summer, or when we're experiencing a breakup. And although I believe these are great catalysts for transformation, once you start embracing your inner villain, this is a lifelong journey. Yeah, we're in it for the long haul, because time and time again, whether it's through your art, creativity, your brand, whatever you do, you're going to be brushing up against your limiting beliefs, other people's expectations of you, and different systems that are trying to keep you boxed in. There are going to be times where you're so magnetizing that people want to cancel you, or you start trusting yourself so much that you lose an entire friend group. That's why the villain era for me is not just a trend, although the term is. This is a concept that I truly believe everyone should learn how to embody, because anytime you listen to your intuition and go against the grain, people are going to try to act like you're a bad person for that. Now that we got those 5 problems out of the way, we can finally build a solid foundation for our villain era. And if you're dying for more, I have a ton of research and villain theories on my Substack and Instagram. All right, villains, I'll see you next time.